Yo, what's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? This is probably my first live in about a million years. Um, what I'm gonna do is I'll probably stay on here about an hour or so, and I'm gonna start tagging people, getting people up in here and shit. But yeah, we're gonna have a good time, man. We're gonna have a good time. Uh, Talking about a little bit of everything, really. But I wanted to focus more so on, on what's been going on in the community as far as some of these dogs go. Let me stop bumping the table. The deaths in the community, all of the bullshit. And it's a lot of the same, but then again, it's not the same. And we're gonna see how this shit goes. Primarily when you look at a lot of the shit that I've seen over the last 2 years. What's going on, May? Mega, my eyes are shitty right now. What's going on, Mega? But we just gonna get it in, and I'll address bullshit. I'll address whatever. But like I told y'all, man, I'm in a good space. Looking forward to getting back in, doing a couple things. To what's going on, Tony? What's going on, Anton Cabrera? Grizzly, what's going on? Oh man, I'm pretty good, man. Feeling good. You know what I mean? As I told y'all, I have to deal with a lot of bullshit. And I'll just what's going on, Andrew? Man, what's going on, brother? Long time, long time. It's time to get it back going. What's going on, Craig? But it's been a minute, but I tell y'all what, ain't shit changed. Dogs is still dying. I told y'all we should have got into the business of buying those damn wings. If we would have got in the business of buying those wings that they put on the dogs, you know what I mean? It would have been a way better life for me. I'd have probably had 3 or 4 Rolls Royces. Mega, we gonna try, man. We gonna try, but I guess. Oh man, Tony, I guess we can start there, man. You know, the American bully game has been this way for a long time. Just to be honest with you, it's always been this way. People are, what I'm saying? What's going on, Larry? People are what they are. I think going back, even back to 2008, when they poisoned and killed a lot of my dogs, you know what I mean? People are desperate in this thing. And the more you find out, people just don't really care about dogs. And it definitely is a sad thing. I would like to say, yeah, you just get over it, but you don't in a lot of ways. And as I told y'all in some of the whatchamacallit, and some of the videos and stuff, is that okay? I stopped sharing, but as I told y'all, like in some of the videos, man, is that this case has gotten crazy. You know what I mean? Like I told you, it's 20 plus dogs that are involved in the situation. Um, it's what's going on, Tone Moss? It's literally a FBI situation. Some people bragged and different things like that. They're weird. And for me, it's an adjustment. And I don't know if y'all can follow me on this. It's an adjustment. Some of y'all that know me know I come from some bad places. And you used to when people talk crazy before, they meant, I used to think they meant it. You know what I mean? We live in a different society now. And to have these type of people they the type of people that'll slap you, and then if you slap them back, they call the police. Like everything with them is some type of setup, some type of manipulation, some type of lie. And it's a rough world to live in. And in this situation, it was just that, man. The situation could have been handled very easily. The dogs could have been, at different kennels, everything like that. But when you get, bitter, angry, ugly people, their motivation is to try to hurt you in ways that they feel like is going to be substantial. So basically what happened, without saying too much, Billy Crystal, what's going on? Is that we, you know what I mean? a certain individual who is an employee of a certain city. Let me say that. And some of y'all know what it is, but I still got to protect myself. And they took a bunch of dogs in, stole a bunch of dogs, took a bunch of dogs in, used like protection orders, calling the police, acting as if they were in danger while they were breaking the law. And this is how Chubb got in the wrong hands, also. But to be brief, and to be real, over 20 dogs is dead. Chubb was stolen, and that's easy. Chubb will be returned. I got the first paperwork from from the lawyer today. Chubb will be returned. Unfortunately, just to be honest with y'all, and I won't go into too much detail, but this person killed Tommy, amongst some of the other better dogs. And I guess, fortunately for me, as far as being a dog man, and you can't get past the fact of killing innocent animals makes you an evil son of a bitch, no matter what you trying to do to a person. It reminded me a lot of when De Niro was killed. It was just done in a more devious way. And yes, Byron did have a hand in it. And to get past that, because Byron Hayes, if y'all want to be realistic and y'all want to talk, he was step for step the whole way. He knew what was going on. He actually conned his way into trying to get a deal to where he would make something off of Tommy. Mel actually found out what was going on and returned the dog back to where it was at and washed his hands of the whole situation because the situation was getting heated. So, and I can tell y'all that part. Mel did everything he could to try to right the situation while they were doing different things to try to fuck me over with everything. You know what I mean? Some of y'all don't know, I was arrested, I was this, I was that. It was a lot of bullshit, really. And I wish I could go into it all, but when I tell y'all the truth is that this is the truth. I've got a pending interview with Fox News of Houston. I got a phone call later on with the investigator from the FBI. I've already got the multiple emails of the stuff that I had to sign off from the Harris County District Attorney. The shit is getting heavy, bro. And I'm not, if y'all know me, I go back, I'm just not a police type person. I didn't did time. I'm from that school where I'd rather just bust your motherfucking head. But we don't live in that circle no more. We live in a spot now where people do everything, lie publicly, act crazy, to play victim. And the honest part about it is the only reason why I'm going this way is to honor, my dogs that was lost. As far as me, I have dogs all over. I still got 7 females, you know what I mean? I still got a nice amount of semen. I got co-owns. I just didn't feel like doing anything with dogs, you know what I'm saying? Just to know that this shit was going on. Mentally, it was fucking with me to where you going back and forth, you know what I mean? I lightweight want to bust a bitch's head wide open. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, you got to do what's right by your kids and stay the fuck out of trouble. And even as I moved away, it was still the same type of stalker behavior. I got paperwork, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers calling the police time after time after time. Yeah, Odell is around and Odell will be returned also soon. He was on the same paperwork as Chubbs. But man, Tone and everybody on here, and I appreciate y'all on this first one. But the craziest part is that for me, and y'all done seen me talk over the years, I don't really want to hurt nobody. I'm not the type of person to call the police on people, you know what I mean? But it just, if I'm gonna do the right thing by the people who have studs to Odell, who have studs to Chubb, do the right thing by the dogs that was murdered and everything else, I gotta handle it legally because we can't do things old school no more. And that's heart-wrenching for a motherfucker like me in itself. And y'all know how I get down. I would love, you know what I mean? I say this, the Ozone and Armani ones, I have some, but the clown Byron, he says he has the original ones, which I do believe. But I would tell you the truth, Tony, I wouldn't do much business with him at this point in time. I'm just being really real with you because his name is all over this paperwork. Dude probably gonna end up in jail. He was trying to sell a lot of semen when it was Little Row. Now I'm being real. I think he has the Ozone and Armani semen, and I do believe that those dogs bred to the right stuff can really help. Really help if you're trying to clean up a yard. But the thing with him is dealing with him is it's a lot of lies, it's a lot of scandal. I put it to you this way, Tone. I was with this dude every day for about 5 or 6 weeks. He calling me his brother. We, what I'm saying, going to places, eating together. I'm taking him to little different places, everything else. The whole time he's trying to steal my dogs and colluding, knowing that a lot of my dogs is being killed, and he's trying to work his hand to see what he can get and steal from me while he's calling me brother. I don't know if you really, really want to do business like that, but I do, and I keep the game fair. I think Armani and Ozone was very good blood, from the original dogs that stood around. If you take it to probably bigger, bullier dogs, because anytime you run into the old blood, this is what's going to happen. The old blood is always going to try to pull back towards terrier. So if you're getting any straws, whether it's Ozone, Armani, Remy, because there are still some Remy straws out there. I heard of some Hef straws floating around. The proper way to breed that shit is always going to be to take it to bigger dogs to bring out the bigness in it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. We have to we have to do it. We have to do it the right way. I don't know. I don't see Tone Moss is crazy. What YouTube has been changing a lot. They wouldn't even let me on here. So maybe next time I can change the settings. But they were trying to punish everybody who was going live if you had like foul language or all of that. Hey, what's going on, Kitty? Yeah, but yeah, I gotta try to do, what I'm saying? I gotta try to figure out this stuff because, man, they made me do face verification as long as I've been on here, a copy of my ID just to log on. So I'll get it figured out how I can change the settings. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's just a bunch of nonsense, man. And me being older, in the sense of mentally older, you know what I mean? I'm being more responsible about how I take care of everything, mental health and physical health. Y'all should see me right now. I'm strong as a damn ox. I just squatted 675, I believe. Yeah, that's all I've been doing is just taking care of myself. But it's just, you learn that these people is fucked up. You know what I mean? When they killed De Niro and it was several other dogs in that thing back in the day, it was a bunch of finger pointing and different things. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm the stupid one because it's taken me so many years to learn that, fall back and play the game the way that they play the game, for the most part. Because I told y'all way back in the day, this is what they were doing back then, try to rile you up. They do immoral shit, killing dogs, murdering this, that, and the other. Then they'll turn around and they used to call my probation officer and shit. This is the same thing. I went to court this time. I don't know if y'all know, I went to jail for like 3 months. They dismissed everything. And it was one of them situations to where the judge was just like, you didn't threaten anybody. You didn't do anything. You were always all the way 1,300 miles away. But when they showed me the thing, it was so many complaints. And I really wasn't bothering anybody. Haven't said a bad word to anybody. But it was just part. What's going on, Ryan? It was just part of the way to get you, get you up out the motherfucking house. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Mario? So, with all this stuff, and what I'm saying, I'll wrap this up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. It's another situation that shows you the biggest problem with the community is that you think about this character, Byron Hayes, and he's a joke. He's been around, he's been around probably as long as most of us have. He's been around 25-ish years or whatever the case may be. Maybe probably even a little bit longer than that, probably closer to 30 years because he's around 50 years old. And the dude, I thought he was a cool folks. I didn't know all the other stuff that was going on with him. But to see him being involved in this, to see him lying about, and some of y'all on Facebook seen his long post talking about he's been paying for semen for 30 years. And that wasn't the case. That's not even his semen. I could say whose it was, but I don't want anybody to bother him. But, he's, taking the people's money for the semen, not having it. And that's whatever. That's business that I hope that they get handled. But then, to take it another level, like you're gonna steal a dog, you know, go on Facebook bragging. He was telling everybody, oh, he's in jail. He's finished. They killed all the dogs. He was saying they, but he was involved in the shit. You know, hoping that somehow I wouldn't be able to come back. It was strange. And this is somebody that he can't say I ever did anything to him. But he was a coward, you know, because when I went to Ohio, I came back and I'm not still not knowing that all of this stuff is going on. I'm trying to take care of other stuff. Man, I'll be honest with y'all. Grown man, first of all, he stole some more shit. I didn't realize it until I got back to Ohio. But I go to his house to get the stuff. He's hiding in the house and he put all the stuff in his car, like, oh, just get it out the car. And I'm just taking like this motherfucker is weird. But these are like the grown motherfuckers that we deal with in this American bully community, because you have the most scandalous weirdo smile in your face. I'm desperate for attention. And then to see him take pictures of Chubb that I actually took, and now he's promoting through the community talking about, yeah, come get this. It just shows you how far down this community has gone. And I'm going to transition because, first of all, y'all know, and I'm gonna post them up today. I post up 100 dogs today. I'm a producer. I love to produce dogs. I love the science of dogs. I love to get back to the things that helped us make dogs, like the question earlier. But that has been lost because you have people like this, and it's crazy because this is an old school motherfucker, 50 years old, and they'll do anything nowadays, bro. Anything for clout. And tell the truth, do any of them really know how to breed dogs? You know what I'm saying? Somebody like Byron, you've been around 30 years and you've never produced a dog that anybody knows of. They talk about Armani, but Armani wasn't even a dog that he owned at first. All of Armani's fame came before Byron owned a dog. And he never produced anything off of Armani that y'all can remember. Meanwhile, for me, I've produced you know what? Hey, that dude, I took 2 years off. Most people didn't know it. I took 2 years. I had to get away from a lot of these people, because you have people who have fake profiles, and us as grown men and grown women, it's not good. Especially that dude, you didn't touched on something. Let me drink this. Yeah, I was in that damn sauna this morning, so I'm dehydrated like fuck. Excuse me, the desk is flimsy. But man, I had to take time away from, like, I didn't know if I ever wanted to deal with the American bullies anymore. I didn't want to deal with a lot of people. Because some of y'all brothers and sisters, you will know what I mean. Like, I'm naturally a fighter. You know what I mean? I don't like victims. I don't like people who think that they can try to hit you or do whatever. As soon as you knock the fuck out of them or do whatever, oh my God, they want to play victim all day long. I don't like the people who don't stand on, man, hey, Larry, I'm trying to get a sponsorship from Skinny Girl Wine for the podcast. And I ain't brought that up yet. Me and Danny Navoy, we're going to do a real podcast, not just going live. So it should be a good time. And literally, I'm working on it. It's a little process you got to go through. But yeah, Skinny Girl Wine going to be on my... Skinny Girl Wine going to be one of them. Skinny Girl Wine and... oh, man, good thing this is not the podcast, or I'll be in trouble. The other one is, man, I'll think of it. Hollerhead banana whiskey. So yeah, we got a couple that we working on there. You know what I mean? But hey, much love. PS384T. That's a hell of a name. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Crusher? But I think we just have to get back to being about dogs. And that's the thing, and that's all I've really focused on. Is I see a community and the community is fucked up. How terrible is it now? You get these characters, and we know the Bashars and the different people who've hurt the breed in other ways. But it's sort of wild when you think about it. Nobody can really tell you what's going on, El. But nobody can tell you how to breed dogs anymore. And that's the sad part. Nobody can tell you how to breed dogs. Nobody. Oh, Tremel, okay, I thought you was my nephew. Tremel Owens, what's going on, brother? Long time. And just like the question that was asked earlier, I've seen some huge mistakes. I've even seen some huge mistakes by some of the more popular breeders and things that I know is hurting the community, and I'm not here to snitch on anybody. But the idea that you have to breed an extreme dog into these dogs. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Why? To get size, to bring the mass of the dogs. You don't. You know what I mean? But the thing of it is that people are trying to keep up with the Joneses, and in the process, allowing the breed to die. I've talked about the Nationals for years after year after year after year, and now we see that the Nationals champion this year didn't even make it for a whole year. You know, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? And, you know what I'm saying? That dude, it's crazy that they don't learn. You know, and now we got Nationals champions dying. This year is by far the worst year for dog shows that we've seen since we started doing the American Bully, because it's a multitude of reasons. A lot of people are walking away from the game because they've lost so much money. Other people are walking away from the game because they don't feel like that they can win at these shows, and then the other dogs are just dying. And when you look at it, who really has great quality American bullies that they can promise or can withstand the conditions? It's so many people now complaining even about the biggest breeders and some of the blood that they're using, and you having dogs die early and different things like that, that it's just turned to the point that not many people know which way to go inside the American bully community at all. You can't really do a dog show anymore because it's just turned into really a popularity contest, and some of the things that they are allowing that shouldn't be allowed is ridiculous. And I'll point some of the things out, that should happen. The situation with what is his name, and y'all, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I think it was the Bear, or whatever his name was, this year's grand champion. Nationals champion. The moment that dog won, my inbox got flooded. It got flooded with pictures of all of his dead siblings. It got flooded with pictures of dogs that were associated with him, whether it's puppies or this blood or that. And all these dogs were dead. People telling stories about how they knew the dog wasn't healthy, the dog couldn't breathe, you know what I mean, this, that, and the other. They knew this, and it was nothing against the owners, but how is this your Nationals champion and the dogs are dying? How do you allow that? And think about if you were, what is that, USA that puts on the Westminster. But think about that. No matter what the dog was, if it was a Rottweiler that won Nationals or whatever the case may be, the Westminster, could you imagine if the Rottweiler had died a few months later from health issues? Could you imagine what kind of scandal that shit would literally be on the USA Today, and they would be talking about it because they some of y'all are like, yeah, right, USA Today. USA Today actually says who the Westminster champion is the day after the show. A lot of times it's on the front page of the damn paper. So they would definitely talk about it, and a lot of major places would talk about it. But in our community, the Nationals champion being dead a couple months later is not even a big story. It's not even a big story. You have so-called big breeders, and it's some clown that always jumps on this page under fake screen names all the time and talks about Tone Roden. And it's not enough shot, Tone and this, that, and the other. And I told y'all that. Me and Joel had a talk, and I can be honest about the conversation. You know what I'm saying? It was a great conversation. Brothers prayed and everything like that. But Joel even said that he opened up his eyes to how bad it was that the dogs couldn't survive, and how the dogs were struggling, and how there was a lack of effort to make the dogs healthier. People bring up these things, and a lot of people, if you look at some of the people that I just went head to head in beefs with, you look at what happened to the programs, and it's not me wishing bad on them. I wish everybody who buys a dog to have great success and for that dog to live a long life. That's just being honest with you, but it's not happening. If you look at Bashar, it's a reason why Bashar is very, very quiet. His dogs have caused mayhem to a lot of his, y'all remember it used to be muscle tone this, muscle tone that, muscle tone this. A lot of those muscle tone camps are gone now because the dogs died. This is the facts. Y'all remember when Khan was like on top of the world, and they talked about the Rocco blood, the Brim, the Grim, the Tim, the whatever other blood it was, and this was the biggest deal going on. And what happened? You don't see those dogs as much because a lot of them died off, and they were dying at a young age, and people were complaining about it. It was the same thing with Dax. Dax had those 5,000 kids, and years later, you couldn't even find it. You couldn't even find it. And that, and the funniest part about it is, Tramel, is that yeah, they do. That's all they care about is the money and everything else. And the sad part is even if you were a businessman about this and you were looking for the money, wouldn't you want to give the people a good product that's going to live long and they not have problems with? And that's the saddest part is that these dudes continuously peddle off bullshit on these dogs left and right, and they're not even understanding that in the long run, it killed the business. You know, it killed the business. It was a time, and I remember it, and it's ironic because of Dave Wilson being who Dave Wilson is, and y'all excuse the noise in the background. But it was a time when Dave could sell dogs for $10,000 left and right, no problem. I remember Dave used to call people and be like, "Do you got any edge puppies?" Because he couldn't keep up with the demand. Edge was, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, Tramel. Edge was king. We were getting whatever we wanted because the dogs were good. People were proud of the dogs. The dogs could, for a long time you had where Dave, you know what I'm saying, was putting the dogs out in a space to where he would show the dogs outside. You know what I mean? Let me see that thing. Y'all give me 1 second. I'm about to pause this damn thing. There we go. Maybe we have better sound. But Dave was getting to a point to where, I mean, he would put the dogs outside. Y'all remember those old pictures? He would put the dogs outside, and it would, in Virginia, outside in the winter, you talking about 0, and the dogs was living. Virginia, strangely enough, in the summertime can be muggy, 100 degrees outside, and he would still show the dogs out running on the trolleys. This is what the American Bully was built off of. People saw these super muscular dogs, pit bull on steroids, and they could survive in any conditions. You could take them to Texas, you could take them to Ohio, you could take them to wherever you wanted to take them to, no matter what the conditions. These big cock diesel motherfuckers would live, and you just don't have that anymore. It's flip flop. Other places wanted these dogs because a lot, especially when you were selling dogs to Europe, people in Europe are serious about the health of their animals. So they wanted dogs that could basically handle any kind of conditions. And they were very, very strong about, the health of the dogs. We used to pass all those tests. The dogs that we sold to Europe, I got several European champions, and they're all, if they're not all double digits in age right now, they're at least, I think the youngest one is like 8 or 9 years old. But every dog that I've sold over there, I've yet to have one pass away yet. They're ranging in between probably 8 years and 13 years old. I just put up a picture of Bolo the other day, and this is what we should have been striving for. If y'all don't know, a lot of y'all probably don't know bodybuilding, but it's a real bodybuilder, a legendary bodybuilder named Chris Dem. Unfortunately, Chris had a surgery and woke up paralyzed, in the prime of his career. And at the time when Chris called me, Chris was in a bad place. You could imagine this guy is on the cover of Flex magazine, doing shit with Ronnie Coleman, on the Olympia stage, year after year, Joe Weider athlete. He's at the top of his sport. And to wake up, after a surgery to correct something somewhat minor and end up, paralyzed, it changed his life. So at the time that I met him, he was obviously depressed, and he just wanted a dog. He didn't know what he was going to do, but he just wanted a dog. And it just so happened that was around the time that we got the breeding done that produced Bolo. And it was funny because Bolo had pecs, you know what I mean? As a puppy, Bolo just came out with his chest. And I told Chris then, I said, "Look, man, I think this is the dog for you." I was like, he already looked like a bodybuilder. And it's crazy because out of all my dogs, he still ended up with the best chest. And, Chris got the dog. And during his process, it's like the dog almost brought him back to life. Having his dog, you know what I mean? Yeah, they need ice packs nowadays. It's ridiculous. Bolo was through it all with Chris, and he brought Chris back to life, man. Chris ended up competing and actually winning. I know he took second one year. I think he won one year. But the Mr. Olympia wheelchair, he got back into that. His gym is cranking. Since then he's got married. He got him a Frenchie. But today, Bolo is 13 years old. You can't tell it by the way he looks. And Bolo is still his service dog. And this is what we were supposed to be breeding for. This dog is so well tempered that Chris can take him to the gym. Chris can put the bag on him for her to carry stuff. Chris, and that was one of his main things, is because he has to use a van because of his wheelchair. Bolo is very capable of getting in and out of the van on his own. We don't do things like that anymore, and it's stunted the growth of the American bully. That our dogs now, they need the assistance of, instead of being able to live on their own and assist other people. Oh, I appreciate it, Ryan. I was shocked at how good he looked at 13. That's usually about the time where my dogs start to take that old man turn, to where, yeah, you can tell the end is coming. But 13 years is a good life. Denzel went to 16. Castro went to 15. So Bolo on their ass, But several of them went up there into the double digits. But that should be our goal. Having dogs that need ice packs, having dogs that can't run. No one is doing health testing the proper way. No one is testing the shoulders. No one is testing the hips. This is why the breed is dying, is because the dogs are literally dying. You cannot push this product to a suburban family who wants a dog just as their family pet. What is this dog going to do? You know what I mean? What is this dog going to do? This is one of the reasons why the English Bulldog started dying in popularity, because everyone loved the way that the English Bulldog looked, but they're so hard to take care of. This is like, I've had English Bulldogs before. It's terrible. You always expect them to die. And I don't care what anybody says. If you have an English, you're always expecting to come home and find them dead. They don't breathe well. And I had some good ones, so I didn't have that kind of stress. But I had a bad one, and it was very stressful, because you just always expect them to die. They breathe bad. They move real slow. It's like you bought a pet just to sit on a pillow. You can't walk them a lot. They have breathing problems. If it's too hot, they might die. If it's too cold, they might die. We've literally turned the American Bully into what pugs and English Bulldogs are. Because an American Bully is supposed to be outside, like the ones I still do have, and I'm gonna post y'all some new shit. We about to do some shit. Yeah, D-Line's still here. Don't y'all let them believe it. We got a couple bad bitches, and we gonna run it to some more bad bitches, and we gonna do it. Hey, Larry, but we from the old school. You know what I mean? That old blood is gonna go hard. That old, like the old, even the old Gotti dogs, they lasted long times. I always tell that story, and it was one of my favorite stories. And I hate to sound like this, but I remember seeing Monster, and that was at a show in Pomona. It was 90 plus degrees out there. It was not comfortable because it was humid and everything else. Man, Monster was out there tied to a tree with caution tape around him, barking at people for 10 hours. At least 8. But he had no problem. He was an absolute fucking beast. You know what I mean? And I'm not bragging about the temperament on some of the dogs, because some of the dogs were too mean. But the fact that we never had to have special places for these dogs to cool off, and they would just be out there, this is totally different than what we see today. Mr. Pinkston, what's going on, brother? I'm going to give you a call. I saw your text message, and it was sort of late. And then, of course, they got me running in circles. But see, I'm going to give you a call this evening so we can wrap a little bit, because my day is about to be pretty much a wrap. But, the good bloods will last, and you don't have to do anything to them. But we've gotten so far away from trying to make healthy dogs good quality animals that it's really literally killing off the breed. Like, you know what I mean? Hey, Mel, let them know. But when you get good dogs, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter the heat. It don't matter the heat. What's going on, Hector? It don't matter the heat. Like, right, shit. Here, it literally several days got to be, you know what I'm saying? It got to be 125 degrees. I ain't bullshitting y'all. I'll show y'all the picture. It got to be 125 degrees, and it did that several times last week. It's hot as hell out here. The bully that's here don't have no problem. Go out back, run around, get back in the shade. For whatever reason, he liked that hot ass weather. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of dogs that's doing it. I think, it's hard, Tone, to figure out what exactly is the best price for an American bully because I think that's subjective. But I think the good dogs are, you know what I mean? A lot of them, just being realistic, you can find for anywhere from 1,500 to 3,500, $4,000, depending on, if you're going to show the dog, pet quality, all that stuff. But man, I've seen recently people who have good quality blood who settle them for as low as 1,500, $2,000, and they just want to get these dogs to really good homes. They're not trying to say that they need the greatest show champion of all time or any of that. Man, look, Larry, I'm in El Paso, so I know your pain. Them dogs can stand heat when they put together well. It don't bother them, It don't bother them. The only thing that bother them is if you put them on concrete, because then paws will burn up. But this is what the American bully, and this is what real bulldogs is supposed to be. When I got into Alapajas, man, we would get down there into them swamps in Georgia, and I never did the hog hunting. But one of my friends took a couple of my boys to let them do the hog hunting. Man, it was so muggy, so terrible down there, and these dogs was hunting. You know what I mean? No problem. Some of them with Teflon vest on and everything. You know. Sometimes, and this is where we got to get these dogs back to. If we can get good quality, I mean, we should have a pit bull attitude. They've made the pit bull a curse word now. When these are pit bulls, our dogs are supposed to be active. Our dogs are not. We're not supposed to be worried about if the dog's going to fall out and all of that shit. We're just not supposed to be worried about that. We're supposed to be on point and being prepared to do some major things as far as having shows that we can compete head to head with the Rottweilers, the Dobermans, the South African Borbos of the world. That's where we need to be at. And we're not even anywhere close to that. As of right now, we would have trouble competing with the damn English Bulldog. Because y'all tell me how many shows have y'all seen, and y'all tell me how many quality American bullies have you seen. You just won't see them. And then you go back to what I've always said, and you point this out, especially with the ABKC, is how is it that we have this low quality of an animal but nobody's banned? I've seen breeders who bred their females at 6-7 months, Bashar, never banned, registered a litter, no problem. I've seen dogs that we know have fallen out. I've seen dogs that we know had breathing issues. And this is the thing of it is, you know what I mean? That dude, you know what? That's my thing right now, you know what I mean? No, I literally took 2 years off while I dealt with these people, stealing from me and killing dogs and everything. And what was crazy is with the TBKC, I literally had everything done a while ago as far as what basically it's very minor stuff that I need to get done. But I wanted to be in a good mental space and really get a lot of bullshit, out the way, because with the hate is real, brother. That's all I can say. I got to be 10 toes down on this now, because when I tell you the hate is real, bro. I got people that was just called the police on me just to call. Like motherfuckers say a prayer wrong, and they and they calling the police just to call, man, wishing the worst on everything, killing dogs, stealing. And I had to really get in the right headspace before I dealt with anything. And I'm ready to take a go at it now. And the best part is I got a way better surrounding cast. My brother Danny Navoa is coming back into the fold, and he's actually the original one who put everything together as far as the ABKC when we started the ABKC. So that's just, that what's going on, Julian? So that's just, man, it's good to be here. I appreciate you stopping through. So that's my main focus, and y'all know I'm going to drive healthy. But y'all probably just tell it's a different part of me. I want to be more realistic with everything and really get to dogs, Like, in order for us, what's going on, John Smith? In order for us to win, we have to be able to compete at a high level against all of the dogs, not just one or two dogs, one or two groups of dogs and different things. The breed won't survive. It's dying. It's dying. Literally, the top dogs, or what they consider to be the top dogs in this breed, are dying. So if people are truly still fans of the American Bully, we have to go in a direction where we're elevating the breed. We have a South African Bordeaux coming. It was supposed to be here. I would have already had him if, they hadn't set me up and got on their bullshit. But you would be surprised what the South with this particular breeder of Bordeaux does. She is amazing. But when I tell you these dogs are tested and appraised at the highest levels, it's scary. Like they know the ins and outs of their dog so well that it's just ridiculous. They know the hips, the elbows, all of the DNA testing, just up and down. You know you are getting a beautiful animal. I seen a damn Merle Corso. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but yeah, I seen somebody had a damn Merle Corso. It blew me back. I'm like, so we're doing this now. And I think if we're gonna transition to talk a little bit about those type of dogs, it's the scariest part. It's the scariest part that they would bring Corsos into I mean, to bring these different traits into a dog like a Corso, because a Corso is a protection machine. And the biggest part about a Corso is the same thing with Rotties, which y'all know that's my thing, and hopefully I'll have me a Rottie puppy soon. But they're programmed to be a certain type of way. A good Rottweiler is going to be 10 toes down, protecting the family, but also very loving with the family. It's such an incredible balance of what they have in their genetic makeup of what they're supposed to be. And you have all of these breeders now, whether it's the Corso, the Rottie. I've seen bully style Corsos too. I don't know if that's what you were talking about, Larry. But they're just screwing these dogs up, and they're sacrificing the integrity of the dog for aesthetics. And we've seen it done with the American Bully in a lot of ways, to where you start to mix these dogs and you change the makeup of the dogs, and it makes them more dangerous in a lot of ways, and it makes them a lot more fragile, because genetics don't mix like we think they do. Just because you put two dogs together, you can come out with a totally different outcome that is neither this breed or that breed that you use to make those dogs. And we're seeing dogs that are, it's just this designer thing with dogs is horrible. It's one of the reasons that the American Bully keeps shitting and pissing in the ring. It's one of the reasons that the dogs are literally banned in Europe, which is sad because there was a lot of work that went into trying to spread the American Bully to Europe. And now we're in a space to where we don't even get to, it's sad, man. It's sad. I talked to a lot of people over in Europe, and it's just a huge disappointment that the XL Bully is banned in Europe, because so many people work so hard to make sure that that breed was good over there. And to be honest with you guys, one of the reasons that the dogs, they talked about the unpredictability of the dogs, was the mixing. They know that they put South African Bordeaux in a lot of those dogs, a lot of those dogs. A lot of the so-called giant breeders, and I know one in particular, keep it bossy. Those are Bordeaux. You can see it. You can see it in the dogs. The rumors are true. A dog doesn't jump up, 40, 50 pounds and shredded muscle just in one breeding. And now the dogs are screwed up, They're screwed up. There was a breeding pattern that was set long ago with these American Bullies, and that's why I say I don't ever care about anybody saying anything about my inability to make a comeback. I never would consider anything a comeback, but I know how to breed. I know how to breed. If y'all want to make good, clean American Bullies, it's really been tested, but people got away from it. Go get you some of Oscar Gomez's stuff, all that good stuff he got over at Blue Pride. Get you something from Marco Suarez. You want the old stuff from Marco though. And you hit those together, you're gonna get some fire. You come get something from me, you mix with either two of those kennels and what they have, especially the older bloods, you're gonna get some fire, because that stuff is battle tested. If you want heft, and I'm just rolling through things, if you had heft, you wanted to breed heft to something big, you know what I mean? Well, the dude from Hurricane Bloodline, from what I hear, he got tired of this shit too. You know, like a lot of people. I'm gonna be honest with you. They left the American Bully just because they got tired of the direction that the dogs was going. A lot of people are very passionate about the health of the breed, and I know Hurricane. I had talked to Hurricane Bullies a few times when he had the pamphlets and all of that. And man, that brother, man, Ty, he was very much so about the health and the integrity of the animals. I got some Native American brothers down in South Florida, and they're the same way. The reason that they stopped dealing with the American Bully was because the American Bully just it's a sad thing, man. Don't, Larry, don't start talking about that damn Ben. Ben then created every dog except for any dog. Like, you know, and it's crazy because we were at such a good point. If you look back at that era where you had, your Remy's and you had Monster was still around, Hallie's time overlapped with Remy's time, Paco's time. Man, these were some great dogs, and you had a lot of very good dogs. And like our worst thing we worried about at that time was like Easty Westy feed or a kink tail, well, a bad bite. And now the dogs are just dying, and these dudes are still promoting this shit. And they're promoting it and they're promoting it. And I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, from a breeder's tip side of it, you can't fix anything. Now, if you're talking about a kink tail, you can fix a kink tail. I don't see kink tails that pass on at a high level. A semi bad bite, like if it's just off a little bit, you can fix that. You're not going to fix a bad heart. You're not going to fix bad hips. It's the reason why in the Rottweiler community, if a dog has bad hips, that's the end of that dog. As far as a breeding program go, they're not going to breed that dog if that dog, even if the dogs, a lot of them, people just won't deal with fair hips. It's got to be good or excellent hips. In the American Bully community, we're constantly breeding fair or bad on a lot of issues. To those of you who are listening, understand this. Under no circumstances should a dog with an elongated palate, this palate issue, that palate issue, those dogs should not be bred. The same thing goes with the heart situation. If your dog has a bad heart, if your dog has a heart murmur, why exactly would you breed that dog? It makes no sense. But in our community, we will breed the shit out of it, no problem, no questions asked, and go forward as if this is okay. And we wonder why our quality is dropping. There is still enough good dogs. The Armani and the Ozone was asked about earlier. Those are old dogs. You're talking about 30 years ago. And the reason why like it works so well with Chubb, you know what I mean? Yeah, Ryan, it is like we pretty much have to start over. And I like, but and the start over part is it's not the worst thing in the world. Oh boy. Okay, I go back to starting over. We got the Brazilian bulls. They scare me. I'm gonna tell you, the Brazilian bulls scare me for a couple reasons. Yeah, excuse me, I'm not tired, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. Oh, I appreciate it. Was that de jour 1714? This is what I would absolutely, before I jump in, I would absolutely buy an athletic bully. I believe all bullies should be athletic to a certain degree. You know what I mean? That your foundation should be what you want. You want an athlete. You can add muscle on the dogs, but you want an athlete. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you this. The Brazilian bull, this is a problem with that damn Brazilian bull. The eyes, all right? The eyes. Because they are, I've seen some impressive ones. I'm not about to hate. I've seen some muscle. I've seen some very good conformation. I've seen some on videos that move spectacular. The eyes are a problem, and I'll tell you why. And we used to make fun of, y'all help me, what's the Beanstalk. Beanstalk. We used to make fun of Beanstalk because his eyes were coming close together. Well, some of you know I am a nerd. I did study genetics. And this sometimes when you have a physical abnormality, most times it is pretty much, think of it as the tip of an iceberg. You can see this one thing, but it's a whole lot of other bullshit going on below. I promise you, and you watch it, and I told y'all that with Beanstalk and some of the other dogs that Bashar had, as you saw the eyes go closer and closer together. That is the thing that's telling you that somewhere in the genetic makeup of this dog, there's some things going wrong. It will present itself in other ways later. This is the reason you don't see any dog on the face of the earth with those weird eyes that come close and they look weird. You know, that old cockeyed look and they're too close together. That's triggering to say it's something wrong with the dog. Over the next couple of years, y'all remember with the exotics, we used to see the super bug eyes, but it was the opposite. The eyes would come all the way out here. And this was early, and as the dog went along, you started to see that the dogs would have abnormalities, defects. Y'all watch what I say, and if I'm wrong, y'all tell me I'm wrong. But in the next 2 to 3 years, you will see more and more of these Brazilian bulls, or whatever you want to call them, that they'll start to show more and more abnormalities. You'll start to see the high rears. You may hear, unfortunately, of sudden death syndrome, twisted feet, and different things like that. Because when you get an indicator that there's something going wrong with your dogs genetically, pay attention to it. And they don't pay attention to it. I see a lot of breedings where they want to breed two dogs with those weird eyes together. You know, so you're doubling down on whatever this problem is, and you would need an actual, what's going on, Grouchy Smurf? You would need, you know what I mean? You would need a lot of science to figure out what's wrong with those dogs. And I think the scariest part is they are getting very, very popular. A lot of people love the muscle on them. People are going to buy them. And it's like an untested product, you know. It's just the same reason why a lot of people have problems with taking the COVID vaccine. You got to wait 5 years to see what this shit is going to be. You know, if your ear gonna fall off from taking it or not, you gotta wait the years out. Well, it's the same thing with these Brazilian bulls. Wait till this third, fourth generation, and you'll start to see the issues. That's with every dog, because I guarantee you this: they're not showing you the ones that are already fucked up. They're not gonna show you those. You know, they're not going to show you. You don't see a lot of Brazilian bull stories to where they start off as puppies and you watch this puppy grow and you watch this. They've been very calculated at the way they advertise. They just, boom, hit you in the face with a badass, big, muscled up dog that's impressive for pictures and everything like that. Well, let's watch the process and watch this shit start falling apart. I hope not, though. I hope they do something different, because they are beautiful dogs. I'm not a total hater. You know what I mean? And that's going to be one of the problems too. They're asking 10,000 and up, so that's going to make it one of those deals like Bashar used to do, where they say this is very, very exclusive. They don't have a large, you know what I mean? They don't have a large gene pool to correct a lot of their issues. So that's going to be a bigger problem too, because you need a bigger gene pool to correct the issues. Man, yeah, man. You know, I mean, I'm jumping around, but I just seen the comment about Chubb. It's really crazy, bro, that you steal a dog. You know the dog is stolen. You know the police are going to come, and all this bullshit, and you're out here trying to get people to give you money on Chubb, a dog that I made popular from the time he was 8 weeks old, bro. And then bragging, oh, he's in jail, he'll never be back. This is who the Byron dude is, hiding. And so we'll handle it legally, then we'll handle it. But he you know, you know, yeah, he knows. So it just is what it is. But if I was starting, if I was starting a kennel, I would go with some of that old school blood. You know, I would go at this point. All you would have to go old school edge. What's his name? Paul. Not Paul. I'm just gonna say Paul at Remy Line if I don't beat up his name. He's got a lot of old Remy stuff over there. Then you've got, you know, me. I got a lot of the old D-line blood. You got Oscar with a lot of the old Blue Pride blood. You know, right now Marco doesn't have any of the old blood as much. But if you could get your hands on like that type of old blood, you need it, and it's still breeders out there that breed the old stuff. And if you are not pressed, you know what I mean, you can get the great old blood to really work with. You know what I mean? And I think that that's going to be your key. Get you the foundation is in your genetics and your structure. All of those old dogs are going to give you foundation and genetics and structure to where they can pass everything. And then you just start looking for the best of those dogs and elevating. And there are older dogs. Eddie was it from Blue Line, or he's got some old big dogs. You have the bigger bloods that you can mess with. Some people even have the old Camelot bloods. Some of the old, real old big blue dogs. And the only thing is, it's out there. The other day I just found a Cairo son that was on freeze for the last 20 plus years, and he used a Cairo to Gaff that I'm going to go ahead and pick up. It's just one of the things that you have to do some studying to try to find out where those old dogs is at. But you have sites on Facebook like OG Razor's Edge, and the Remy Line crew, and this and that and the other, where a lot of those people don't believe in nothing but clean dogs. But I would start with some very clean dogs. Get you some Watuga Spirit. You're getting a damn pit bull if you get you some. Oh, do I believe that you can fix those eyes? I'm gonna tell you what. To fix those eyes on a Brazilian is what I was talking about. I don't like to say that you can't, but first I think we would need to know where it's coming from and what the problem is, because as many of y'all know, one of my biggest rules with dogs in general is it goes back to the idea that you can't fix bad genetics. But there's a flip side to that coin. Are the bad genetics coming because the dogs are their bloodline is too tight? Sometimes problems correct themselves by loosening up the bloodline, which we've seen with a lot of dogs that are inbred or too closely line bred. The same thing. We would have to figure out if that's where the problem came from, or is it just a bad mix? You know, and back in the day, Cairo was the balance of everything. But I'm not even totally against adding Staffy or Pit Bull blood to the American Bullies at this point. Because we are just, and I wouldn't add it to a bad dog. I would add it to a dog that's already well put together, has good size, good conformation, good health. And then I don't mind adding in old genetics in any way, because everything for me, as I do a breeding, right, you know, is that just this. Well, Mandela is very old and arthritic, so Mandela had to be put down. Odell is still living, and he'll be back with me very soon. I have straws off of Mandela, but I'm not selling any at this moment. Oh, and that ain't no problem that you asked that question, by the way. That's all about being honest. That Clover Hill blood that's real old school. And the Gray Fox. I remember Gray Fox was going hard down in Florida. Danny used to do the Gray Fox real tough. They used to have the little barbecues and everything. But I think as a community, we have to go back to the mindset to where we can use old blood, and we can use dogs that a lot of people would call classics, or maybe even say that they were pit bulls, to incorporate some of the healthy genetics and get the dogs back to their core. Because right now, people have brought so much BS into the game, it's really destroyed the breed. And I don't always like to say just bulldog genes, because doing the studies that we did in genetics as much as we did, I do believe that sometimes it's just mixing dogs that don't belong together can destroy your genes. I've seen good bulldogs, no problem. But if you took some of them good bulldogs and you bred them to some of these bullies, the puppies will come out with defects because the genetics are not made to go together. We have this belief all the time that just because you take two good dogs, even if you're going to cheat and mix some shit in, that you're going to come away with good genetics. That's not the truth. And I've used the liger as an example many a time. The lion and the tiger, both beautiful animals, both strong. And when you know what I mean? When you mix certain things, you come up with a bad thing. The liger is, for lack of a better term, looks like it has more like a Down syndrome look. It moves slow. It's too big. It's a lot going on. Man, And they stay messing with Doc Moore. They need to leave Doc Moore alone, man. That's what he OG. He ain't trying to be involved in their bullshit. Yeah, the American Bully really has been its own thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, those lagers won't last long, and believe it or not, you know what I mean. There's enough American bullies to get by and to do some incredible things. That Crusher, I got to use Crusher, man. You know what I mean? I got to use him. I tell you the truth, man. I got to get with y'all. I got to get Crusher at least 3 or 4 times. You know, because he's still out there pulling mad weight at 9 years old. He's one of the best examples of what my blood has done. That dog can pull, but and those are the type of genetics that we want to add. But I don't, when you rebuild a community, it's not that hard. You know, it's just like a person when you think that when you if they want to start over or they want to build another section to their yard. This is being realistic to all of you, especially people who haven't bred a lot but you got thoughts. You don't need 1 million dogs. You just need a plan. I can build you a yard in 3 breedings. Think about that. 3 breedings, I can build you a real yard. You pick the right female, male combinations in 3 breedings, and you can have an 8 to 10 dog kennel of fire. And it leaves you unlimited possibilities, even though, of course, several of those dogs are going to be siblings. You can breed those guys together, but you also had an option to pick and choose your studs to bring into the yard and keep your consistency going. That's how easy it is to build a kennel. The sad part is most people just don't realize it. Your whole foundation of your kennel is going to be made off of 1 or 2 breedings. For D-line blood, although D-line does not come from Denzel, it's De Niro. When you look at it, the foundation of the D-line blood comes from pretty much 2 or 3 breedings. It's just that simple. Off of the one breeding with Halle and Gargoyle, you ended up with 5 championship studs, and they all made differences everywhere to where they go throughout the whole entire American Bully world. You start picking dogs that you didn't know, and then you'll be like a dog like Ruger, and Denzel's brother Rome is Ruger's grandfather. This is foundational stuff, but people care more about the hype than they do anything. I have at least one breeding I'm gonna do this year that is strictly a breeding stock breeding. I don't even expect the dogs to look like show dogs. I'm stacking genetics because I think they're going to be too big. So I'm stacking the genetics and I'm bringing in some blood that I know that I can maneuver with. And really, I'm just making bitches that I'll be able to unfreeze. Dogs like maybe Denzel or Mandela or Castro, some of my older stuff, and bringing back my look with a more expanded pedigree that keeps it from being too close, but at the same time, it's elements of the blood, like some Suarez blood and different things like that, that keep the integrity of the head. So when I make any breeding, I want to keep certain elements to keep the look. And I go heavy into anybody who's a part of my mentorship program. They'll tell you I focus big time on the headpiece, because if you lose the look, which the American Bully as a whole has lost the integrity of the headpiece, if you lose the integrity of the headpiece, you don't have a breed. We're seeing that with the Rottweilers now that they had those pug Weilers or whatever they call them damn things, where it looks like a pug, but it's a Rottweiler and the face is. That really comes from inbreeding in a lot of cases from those guys. It's an inbreeding thing, but it's sad because at the end of the day, you're losing the integrity of what a Rottweiler is supposed to be. The American Bully, if you go back and you think about the head pieces of Paco, and you think about Remy, and you think about Monster J, that really cheekier look, very chiseled, defined head, that was the American Bully. Now you have round, wrinkled heads, and people can't really figure this thing out. You know, that's another reason why the breed is dying. The breed should be very, very identifiable, and it shouldn't be a point to where people were asking, well, what is that dog? And then when you bring in the Brazilian bull, you really just make the shit worse, because now you got another breed that's pretty much parallel to the XL bully. It's like the same dog, but they're open about using other dogs, and this shit is just a big ass mess. You know, it just and I think as a community, we have to ask what is going to make our dog stand out and what is going to be the definition of an American bully. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it can't be these long back, high rear dogs, because that's just not sustainable. No one wants to deal with that. Y'all, I'm asking everybody, how many ABKC shows have y'all seen in the last year? You won't see them because people don't want them anymore. People don't want to show dogs. They want to show dogs on social media now. They want to put the dog in the grass so you can't see his feet. They want to put, a little bit of Drake over the, a little bit of Drake over the video so that you can't hear the dog's bad breathing. And they want to do different angles and different this and that and the other. And it's just not the same, because we used to bring our dogs out, like the homie said, you got Crusher up there pulling all kind of weight, still acting as if he's in his prime at 9 years old. That's an example of a dog you would want to breed to. We've had Tyson out there for a long time, as far as talking about some D-line dogs. Tyson is heavy Cairo on the opposite side of the Denzel. Beautiful stud, tons of mass. That's an old school dog that you can use. Everything that Oscar Gomez has, the only advice I would give you is don't breed the Oscar Gomez's females. Get you a male or a female, and then, put in some good blood, in other ways. But Oscar is like perfected his blood to the point, but it's so good line bred. I don't think anybody can breed Oscar's blood like him, but it's the perfect blood to take as an outcross, and he's going to give you the head structure, going to give you some mass. This is all easy breeding. That's why I told y'all, like, these things are super easy, but we have to just do a little bit of studying and have some integrity. And the integrity part is just understanding that we don't breed to bad dogs. You're not going to fix a dog's breathing issue. You're not. The vet can try, and the vet can do the surgery to fix the dog's breathing issues. You're not going to fix breathing issues through breeding. You're not going to fix bad hearts through breeding. You're just not going to do it. And the saddest part about it is, and I've seen many, especially young breeders, make this mistake listening to some of them old heads, is that you spend your time, money, and energy, and you put all of this into a beautiful puppy, and then you turn around and you say, I'm gonna put some mass and make this dog better. And you pick a dog that you know good and damn well you shouldn't have been breeding to. You pick a dog with lung issues, this issue, that issue, this issue, but my bitch is gonna clean it up. And he's a popular stud. This is the downfall of the American bully community. I promise you guys. This is literally the downfall of the American bully community, when we get to the point that we always try to fix something. I don't want to fix shit. I'm not Bob the Builder. I want to make good dogs into other good dogs. That's the common sense way to breed. Get me a bad bitch who's put together, good health, good breathing, great conformation, the whole nine, and then I'm going to go on my mission to try to find a stud who has similar qualities. And sometimes I feel like I'm being very redundant, but I'm telling y'all, I've been doing this shit for 30 years. Actually, a little bit longer than 30 years. Yeah, Ryan, way too many people bred off hype. Like, just like Crusher is on there, a lot of people don't know who Crusher is. I know Crusher, of course, because it's my blood, but at the end of the day, that's a beautiful dog. That's a specimen. That's a dog that's breaking weight pool records and still winning. Why wouldn't I want that in my gene pool? But because a lot of people don't know exactly who Crusher is, they wouldn't even look towards him as a stud, because he's not promoted as an American bully stud as much as he's promoted as a great athlete, So a lot of people are locking in, as they always say, locking in, because a stud, a stud owner knows how to promote. It's a stupid way to run your program. I don't care how popular the dog is. Some of the dogs that I think I'm going to use over the next 2 or 3 years, many of you have never heard of. Like the dog I was telling y'all about, Kai. The funniest part about Kai is y'all would think his little Rose brother Kai. This is a whole nother dog named Kai. Beautiful dog, beautiful dog. And I'm breeding that dog because of what he brings to the table: the Gaff blood, the Cairo blood that is going to make a difference, not because somebody likes it. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Barry? But not because somebody likes it, but because I know what it does for my program. I know what type of dog it puts together. Holly Reese, what's going on? Yeah, I mean that was the best stuff. That throwing knuckles, Cairo, and of course, excuse me, I have no idea why I keep yawning, but of course, you could always improve those dogs. You know what I mean? But that was the good stuff. To have a dog on your leash that you felt like you had a dog. You know what I mean? The dog still pull a little bit. You know you got your lethal weapon if you need be. You don't have to worry about picking him up if somebody's schnauzer runs out. You just, I mean, it's just I hate to beat this drum, and I'm gonna get to a point where we get other people on here and they're gonna talk. We get to talk. When me and Danny get on here, y'all gonna go crazy because Danny got so many stories and he goes back to the gray fox dogs and different stuff like this. A lot of people don't know that I'm originally a Rottweiler guy, so I'm gonna bring some Rottweiler people on here and different things like that. But we're gonna have so much fun. But it just goes back to like production, like my good friend, brother, I love him to death, Danny Guerrero out there in Rhode Island, the original Hall of Fame Rhode Island kennels. He's got some beautiful import German Rottweiler puppies right now, and he's putting out some. He's quietly putting out some of the best shit as far as the German Rottweiler side goes. Period. But it's so great when I get a chance and I'm calling to get on Danny's nerves in a few hours when I know he's off work. Uh, he's a hustler. He does some of the best sidewalks and stone work out there, him and his family. Then he's got a farm with horses. So I got to catch him. But anyway, Danny, when me and Danny get to talking dogs, it's just like when I talk to Rico. Yeah, I was about to say Rico. What's going on, Rico? But it's like when I get the chance to get on the phone. That's what I was saying, Rico. He got something right now. Not try. I'm going to definitely get a mail out here. He told me I got a mustard. He had a crazy ass puppy for me before these motherfuckers got to calling the police on me and shit. But when you talk to a Rottweiler person or you talk to really, really just dog people, it's the most beautiful conversations because we are actually talking about the dog. We are not talking about hype. We are not talking about anything else. We talking about the dog's hips. We talking about the movement, how smart the dog is. And yes, we do talk about intelligence, the trainability of a certain dog. If you want to put them in schutzen, the drive of a dog, the movement, we're looking at pigmentation. This is the science of being a dog, man. And it's sad because the American bully, it's lost. Like if you start talking about how much the American bullies now look like bulldogs, that is a major flaw. Ask anybody who's been around for a long time. You know what I mean? It's a major flaw. Man, the Australian Shepherd is a beautiful dog. I saw some beautiful Australian Shepherds down in Colombia. That was a huge show. I always talk about that show. I know somebody gonna say it, but man, I love them Australian Shepherds too. Beautiful, beautiful dogs. And that's what I want to do with the TBKC is I want to bring in a lot of other breeds, not necessarily the Australian Shepherd, but dogs that people aren't used to, like the Black Russian Terrier, because we want to have more working classes. But I think when you get those type of dog people around, people who are just strictly dog people, well, come to think about it, the Australian Shepherd can work their ass off, but you start to elevate, because you go to the finer points of the animal and you don't lose the integrity. You can't even talk about what's obviously wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's sad. What's obviously wrong in the American bully world is that too many of these dogs are bulldogs. And we know they're mixing the dogs. We know the American bully doesn't really have merles in them. And you see all these merle traits and characteristics, and we're not addressing them. We sweep them under the rug like it's this gigantic secret, and it's not. And I've told people one of the reasons why this is not a gigantic secret, and it never should be, and it never will be, is because we know where that comes from. It comes from the Alapaha. And the Alapaha is a different dog than the American Bully. And it's one of the reasons that at times we've had bad accidents. Because if you work with an Alapaha, you know an Alapaha has amazing drive. An Alapaha goes back to more so of what the original Bulldogs were. You know what I mean? Yeah, those the Merles and the solid white dogs are supposed to be disqualifications right off top. And the sad part is, and this is something that I've always, y'all have even seen me get to the point where I tear up thinking about it. I would never sell those dogs to people, or I would never put this shit in my program. But the scariest thing when you put that Merle stuff in there is that they're pretty. It's like the devil's dog or some shit. Because they are amazingly pretty. Some of those Merle coats, I'm not gonna lie to you, I see them, and just for a second, I'm amazed by them, and I'm always amazed. I never say that the dogs are ugly, but I know what lies behind them because, like I said, I owned Alapahas. They're not friendly. Alapahas are trained killers. Their instincts is to bite something. Their instincts is prey drive, prey drive, prey drive. See, when you buy a dog and you know that it has prey drive, you right? You know everything is prey drive, prey drive, prey drive. You know what to do with it. So like whenever we introduce whichever comes first, the Rottweiler or the Boerboel, once we introduce those dogs to the family, right? You go through a strict routine. You know, this dog has to be socialized. So more than likely we'll take the dog more places than you take the other dogs because you want the dog to see everybody, get to know everybody, and also get an understanding of where to use the bathroom. You know, all the manners that this dog is going to need to be a good dog throughout his life. You also have an understanding that the more that he gets older, his protection is going to be different. You know, when I have the Rottweilers, and I have small babies, which we'll have more small babies here very soon. Breeders around here. But the small babies, the Rottweilers and the Boerboels tend to be a lot more aggressive around them. Not towards the babies. They don't want anybody to touch the babies. You know what I mean? You know? Yeah, and the thing of it is what you're saying, Ryan. It's in them. Those Merle dogs are actually prey-driven protection dogs. They're not your typical American Bully. You know what I mean? And it's hard to. Well, I'm gonna tell you what too. You know, going into this too, Holly, and what I was just saying with Ryan is. The Dax dogs are the same way. Those are bulldogs, and a lot of those dogs are oldies and Alapahas also. You know what I mean? So they guard, and that's just like when I have it's easy when I exactly Rico when I had a Rottweiler, which I was saying, and I'm sorry y'all, I always jump all over the place with the comments, but when I have a Rottweiler, I know. You know what I mean? I know that this dog he's gonna protect, he's gonna guard, and for me. He looks at me, even though I'm the boss, I'm the last one that he's going to protect because a good guard dog understands who needs to be protected the most, you know? But they will be aggressive. My Alapahas, they love my son Stink to death. You couldn't do nothing. You couldn't go around Stink if you wanted to. You know what I mean? They were gentle with Stink. He had no problem. He was a little guy. He could walk the Alapahas if he wanted to. But when it was something about when that baby was around, they were totally different animals. They literally wanted to hit something. That's a problem when you're advertising a dog as a companion dog. It's a different animal. It's nothing against the Alapaha. It's definitely nothing against the Rottweiler or the Boerboel. I love all of these breeds, but having an understanding of what you're giving people is very, very important because you raise that dog totally different. You don't buy a pit bull to just sit with all of your other pit bulls. That's not what he's bred for. And see, and see, that's what I'm saying, Rico. People don't understand the qualities of these dogs. You know, a good dog is going to have they're going to understand what they're supposed to be guarding, and they're going to have control. You know, but the problem is what we do, and a I just did this was my first dog thing that I just did recently. I was doing a seminar. I wasn't the speaker, by the way, but it was an open discussion after the seminar, and it was a great discussion about what we talked about with genetics. Just because you take two dogs that even have very similar descriptions of what they're supposed to be, as far as characteristics go, and you breed them together, that doesn't mean you're going to get that. You can put a Rottweiler and a Corso together, and you like, yeah, they both guard dogs. They post that. That doesn't mean their puppies are going to be that. And this is the game that we're playing. I said this before, and I want to, you know what? I don't feel any shame about saying this. If you want to change your mind about breeding and the importance of following a script, just look up the article of that lady talking about the incident, which pretty much led to them wanting to ban the XL bullies in England. When this lady described raising an American bully, XL, and this being the best dog ever for a couple years, always nice, always just a good dog. And one day being in the kitchen, cutting food or whatever she said, and seeing the dog growl at her child, and she reprimanded the dog, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, Holly, you just have to know what to do with the aggression with these dogs. And that's why I say it's important that the breed meets its standards so you'll know how to take care of it. But this lady ended up fighting for her child's life, fighting for her own life. I'm going to skip over a lot of the story. And throwing herself backwards out of a window with her daughter as their own dog was trying to get her daughter. And unfortunately, her daughter passed away. It lets you know that this shit ain't a game. Because I have bred a lot of dogs. A lot. Over these last 30 years, you probably talking about, I know I'm over 1,000 productions in 30 years. Do you know how damaging it would have to be for somebody to call you and tell you that one of your dogs killed a child? This is the responsibility. And I know we always talk about look and what happens to the animal. And that is very important. Don't get me wrong. It is very important. But come on, y'all. Come on. The most important thing we're going to do is make a safe animal if you're going to put them out here as pets. Because the American bully is traditionally known as being a pet. Let me see if I can clear this off here real quick. There it goes. But yeah, the American bully is known for being a pet. American bully is also known for being a companion animal. And these people, just because they want to do colors and they want to do this, they are destroying a dog that originally, Enrico's been here from the beginning. He can tell y'all, most of the original American bullies, once we got past that Cairo phase, most of these dogs very well could be family pets. That's why we went the companion route, because at the time we were under severe attack by BSL and other things. So we wanted dogs that could be a lot better with other dogs and people. Because most of the original American bullies that have pit bull traits, if you know, pit bulls, a good pit bull generally is not aggressive, like, just wanting to bite people. They definitely will. They're the nanny dogs. They will protect definitely kids. They do not play about kids and anybody that they feel like they need to protect. But a good pit bull is just not out here wanting to bite people. They want to bite other dogs. So that was the original gene pool that we were dealing with. We did have some dogs that wanted to bite other dogs, but you felt safe around people. You didn't, at all the other, man, we used to have packed ass shows. You talking about 2,500, 3,000 people. It wasn't people getting bit by the dogs. You had a couple incidences, but it generally wasn't people getting bit by the dogs. You would more so know to keep the dogs away from each other. That's why you always seen Remy on his hind feet in a lot of pictures because he was literally trying to get at another dog. If you pan the whole picture out, you would always see him. Remy wanted to fight other dogs all the time. You know what I mean? That's what it was. But we did understand, like, you didn't have a worry that a dog was going to attack a baby or do this or do that. Now we're seeing more and more of this. When I was in Houston, it's like an epidemic down there as to how many. They always say pit bulls, but those are American bullies. And if you look at the cases of American bullies that have killed people inside the United States, it's scary. It's scary at a high level, and this comes from a lot of these exotic breeders and when I say exotic, I'm not just talking about the little exotics, but I'm talking about the people who want these colors, and they're just putting together breedings and they're mixing any and everything. And sometimes you get a stable dog, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a lover, sometimes you get a fighter, sometimes you get Jeffrey Dahmer. It's sad, and this is not the art of breeding. I would I would hope and I pray that if you're listening to me, if you don't get anything else from this live, you owe it not only to the breed, but you owe it to everybody who loves these animals to go through your checklist. Make sure that you're breeding to healthy dogs. Make sure that you're breeding to mentally healthy dogs. That's your first and foremost. Your next part is to go through the phases, and then we get into the looks. Let's make sure we got some good hearts, some good lungs. Let's make sure that the dogs are not psychopaths and different things of that nature. Let's get the core part of it, the foundation of what breeding dogs is all about. Let's get back to that. You know? Oh, so much misidentifying, Rico, so much. And we have to get back to this. This breed can rise to the highest of levels because of the passion that people have around it. But now, just like with all energy, it has to go in the right direction. It's just, y'all know how it is. We all been in relationships. You can love as hard as you hate. You know what I mean? You can be the greatest of lover. I love you, baby. You my everything. You get to talking them words like Luther. And then when you in your love moment, it feels so damn good. But when they piss you off, you can be just as I can't stand you, bitch. So energy has to go in the right direction, man. It has to. If our energy is to make the dog better, the money will come. People who are interested in money, it will come. Like any other business, it will come. What's going on, Daniel? It will come. The money will come. So for those who are worried, I spend too much for this passion, that, the money will come with quality. Rolls Royce doesn't cut corners. And they don't have to advertise because they are the epitome of quality. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, Rico, we know about that. They always lying, trying to put them exotics on American bullies, and they didn't mix them. I just seen it. Wait till you see the picture I post later on. You be like, what the hell? Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I call you this week, Rico, so we can do what we always do: get on the phone for hour plus. Yeah, Thomas, I believe. Well, culling has become, a thing where everybody cries about it. So I say this: if you're not gonna cull them, cut their balls off. Fix them. If you're not gonna do it, and I'm eye to eye with you on this, but I know how some people feel about culling. But if you're not gonna cull them, then make sure that these dogs are never put into the gene pool. I'm perfectly fine. I mean, we have a rescue here, a couple rescues. So I've always been around rescues. I've had rescue dogs. It's no problem. Some dogs are meant to be, you know what I mean. Some dogs are meant to be pets. It's just that simple. And think about this, because a lot of you are on different social medias. When is the last fucking time that you ever have seen someone post dogs or puppies and this and that and the other? You know what I mean? As pet quality. You know what I mean? Demanding that the dogs be fixed. These are only going to be pet quality. They won't do it. You know what I mean? Even some that say they're pet quality, they be like, well, in case the dog turns out later on, we can do this. And like, are you serious? Oh, okay. Let me go down this list. Hey, Rico, I don't even know if these people ever had a passion for the dog. Some people, some of us, I think I lost some of my passion for dogs for a couple years there. It's coming back now. I'm feeling good again about it, but it's hard to stay passionate about something that is so frustrating, and I believe that. Have I ever had my dogs break out in sores? What should you do? Okay, this is a good one. Yes, I've had sores, but this is the thing. If your dog is breaking out in sores, first of all, you have to find out why. Because the treatments could be different. Sometimes it's a food allergy, sometimes it's something environmental. Summertime, especially, you have different weeds and different things growing in that could be affecting your dog. So sometimes you do these things by the process of elimination, but other times, you know what I'm saying, if you just want to treat that, MTG oil is great for, taking care of the skin. They also have the shampoo to where, you know what I mean, the sulfur kills a lot of issues that is on the skin. The oil itself, rehydrates the skin and also treats the issues with the skin. It's basically the same thing as new stock, but new stock is a paste that's meant to, hit one area, whereas MTG, you can do the whole dog. Now, of course, another thing that you can do, home remedy, is to get some borax, the old soap powder. Put you some of that in a bucket. Put you about a half a cup of peroxide. Get you some Dawn. Put it in there. Make you a mix. Lather your dog up in that mix. Leave it on your dog for 10 to 15 minutes. That too will kill a lot of the issues that are on the top of the skin. And then you're going to have to rehydrate the skin, which, if you're doing it that way, I would use either an olive oil or a coconut oil is good. And there's many different ways, but that's treating it topically. And that's only if it's maybe a fungus or something, or anything that just affecting the skin. But if you find out it's coming from the inside, then we have to do other things. For one, you want to eliminate it, whether it's the food or whether it's something in the yard. And then for two, you want to maybe add something like apple cider vinegar or a colostrum to help the inflammation. And also, it stops the body from overproducing whatever's, basically the way the body works. I know I'm stuttering, is when a foreign property is introduced, it's just like us. Your body goes overtime and starts producing to try to try to get rid of that foreign body or whatever it is that's bothering you. But that causes you breakouts, that causes you sneezing, that causes you a lot of issues. Colostrum suppresses those antibodies, and it allows, it allows you to function, it allows the dogs to function. I use matter of fact, I just took some colostrum. Colostrum is an amazing thing if this is allergies, because, and if before y'all ask me where can you get colostrum, you can get it at Sam's Club in the powder form. You know what I mean? You can get pills from Vitamin Shop. Man, hey, Jay, you got to come on back then. But this is what's going on, Danny. This is, but you have to figure out, going back to the skin thing, you have to figure out where it's coming from, because the treatment is going to be different. But I would go on Amazon and get the MTG shampoo, and I would get the oil. Start there first. Start adding a couple caps of apple cider vinegar to the water, and see if it's an allergic thing. If you switch foods recently, it's probably the food. And also, if you haven't switched food, I'm going to tell you what you do. Do a little research, use Chat GPT, whatever you got to use. But see if your food company has switched any of the ingredients of the foods you're using. I know I used to be a huge fan of Victor. And Victor just would have my dog's stews rock solid. The dogs would do great on Victor. Then out of nowhere, the dogs weren't doing good on Victor. And then I come to find out that Victor had sold out, went to another company, and all of their ingredients had changed, and it was causing all of my dogs to have different types of reactions. Whether it was a lot of redness, some of them got hot spots, and some of them just couldn't take the food anymore, so they was just shitting everywhere. So, Yeah, with that skin stuff, it's always going to be tricky, but those are some of the things that work. If you notice the dog's licking the paws a lot, it's probably a food allergy or some kind of allergy. And if you and look, I'm going through the whole list. And if your dog gets the foot thing, to where they've got some foot fungus or something like that, and you notice they just can't stop licking the paws, the cheapest thing, save yourself a vet visit, is to get you some Desinex, the athlete foot spray. Spray your dog's paws with Desinex. They won't lick them anymore. It kills. It does the same thing it does for athletes' feet. It kills all that bullshit. You know what I mean? And that works out great. Bullies, especially blue bullies, just they're prone to having skin issues. So if your dog is blue and white, whatever, they're prone to having skin issues. And one of the reasons why is because y'all remember, some of y'all too young to remember, but back in the day, it was a beautiful thing to have a blue dog. If you had a blue dog, you was the shit. This is why if you look at all of the old kennel names, everybody was blue something. It was blue this, blue that, blue that. Everybody wanted blue dogs. But the gene pool wasn't huge for blue dogs, so a lot of the blue dogs came from the same stock. So inbreeding, very, very much so weakened the immune system on a lot of those dogs, to where that's why blue dogs have such high allergies, is that when in order to get the blue dogs, they had to do a lot of very, very close breeding, and it just didn't turn out the best. So if you got a blue dog, more than likely you probably gonna get some skin issues here and there, or some kind of allergy issues. And the easiest thing is especially if you buy the powder form of colostrum, just sprinkle a little bit of that on their food. If you buy the pills, and the pills you can get them for $40, and the bottle is 240 pills for $40. Now with your dogs, they really only need one pill a day. I do two just to overdo it a little bit, but you'd be surprised. It cuts out a lot of bullshit. It cuts out a lot of allergies. It cuts out a lot of stuff. Like I say, I take them because I have allergies like a son of a bitch. I just started taking it again because I'm congested as we speak. But yeah, Rico, you remember them days? Everybody wanted the big blues, little blues, West Coast blues, this blues, Razor's Edge blues. This, if you had a blue dog, you was the shit. That's when I seen Nemesis, I said, "Good Lord, that was the shit back then." But getting back to the American bullies, man, we can fix this shit, man. But it's just gonna take a concerted effort to make sure that the dogs are healthy. That's it. Excuse me, I had to get my little water in. But we just gonna have to have. Oh, no problem, John Smith. We're gonna have to have a concerted effort to fix the breed. Oh shit. Thomas said, let's open up a can of worms. I'm gonna tell you, and people think I want to smack Bashar. I don't. To be truthful, Bashar is not a good dog man, but Bashar is not a bad person. And I tell you what, Bashar is what Bashar is, and you don't see or hear a lot from Bashar anymore because, as BB King said, the thrill is gone. He sold people a dream. And I don't think anybody ever really liked Bashar's dogs. They like to dream. They like to dream of the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, and the idea that you could make six figures just breeding dogs and buy you a mansion. And people love that dream. And after it being ran for so long, and a lot of people buying dogs that died on them, and even when they could make them, they couldn't sell them like he did, people went away from Bashar. And it's one of the reasons, he did well financially. He owns the ABKC pretty much, and he does his thing. But as far as the dog part of it, it's just over for Bashar. No one, I won't say no one, but you don't see people talk about muscle tone anymore. You don't see the million muscle tone this and muscle tone that and muscle tone this. And it's sort of like the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? Everybody who was with the Wizard of Oz, They was off to see the wizard, the wizard, the wizard, the wizard, until they found out that, the wizard was all smoke and mirrors. And the dream ended with that, more reality. And it's the same thing with Khan and Rocco. I mean, it's not about throwing shade. I think we don't see anything great off of Rocco. We don't see anything great for Muscle Tone. The legacy of everything about those dogs was the dream about the money that they could make you. It's the same thing with Dax, you know what I mean? Yeah, Cash almost died in that damn stack off. It's ridiculous. Then he died a few weeks later or whatever. But when that dream that they were selling had everybody reeled in, man. It had everybody reeled in. And unfortunately, if we did a Where Are They Now, most of the dogs are dead, If you ever notice with the muscle tone dogs how they have this great like build up. And he don't get me wrong, Bashar is masterful. I literally started to study some of his promotion because, it's interesting how he convinced so many people like in front of our eyes to buy a bad product. And everybody knew that the product was bad, but he, in his masterful way of marketing, made people believe that the bad product was the good product, and made some people like they were ashamed, that if you couldn't get this, you just, you wasn't shit. I mean, when you say who's, I would just, Danny, I would just point out the kennels that I pointed out. There's some nice kennels out there. You know what I mean? Oh, Bashar would have been a crazy car salesman. He would have sold the whole lot. Sold the whole lot to a motherfucker with no feet, no arms. But I would. The thing about it is with the dogs nowadays, there's not popular, really, really clean, super nice American bullies without the blood that I know that makes dogs die. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but there's just not a lot of them. It's not the ones that I could just say, hey, try this dog or try that dog. It takes a little research, but like I said, I know Oscar still has some clean old school blood. I know, what's his name, Paul from Remy Line. I talked about him earlier. He has some very clean, nice stuff. My boy Mel just did a couple nice breedings. And you know what I'm saying? And Mel got some cool ass stuff out there, man. And, Illinois killed their blood, man. They put that bullshit in there. Dayton had one of the longest dogs ever. Dayton had a dog with Illinois that lived 18 years, and now he done destroyed his dogs too. And it's just, I won't say always say it's for the love of money, but sometimes people just, you feel left out of the party. I could tell y'all, and look, I'll preface this by saying I'm not trying to make anybody feel sorry for me, but a lot of times me taking the stance that healthy dogs matter and going back and forth with these people, that's a rough road because, like I said, I've had people, say ugly shit about my kids, all of the shit that comes along with it, trying to kill dogs. People will, because you messing with people's money, and you messing with you messing with that dream, that Rolls Royce dream. It ain't an easy road to walk, and some people just flip over and they believe that dream, and they don't want to stay in that lane to where people are criticizing them or talking down on them. They would rather just immediately go for the cash. They don't, and like I say, I didn't want to deal with a lot of bullshit, but I'm not going to sell the community out and tell you it's right. And I'm just speaking freely. All of those old school breeders who added bullshit blood, who started doing that DAC stuff, they knew better. They just wanted to fit in. They wanted to let me take something and try to, use my name and try to convince you that it's right. And then you look at them, and I don't care which one of them it was that did it, they can't sustain it. They end up going back to what they used to do. Because if they keep on going the way that they doing, man, it's crazy, man. Oh, what's going on, man? Hey, what's going on, Nova? I remember that message. That was bullshit. I'm telling you, and that's something to talk about too, because I don't even pay attention. And I'm gonna come right back to that. I don't even pay attention to what Dayton got going on because I feel like he's falling into the same thing that everybody else has. It's about selling dogs. It's about notoriety. You see these same guys, and all of them hate Dave Wilson, and I don't get no credit, and this, that, and the other. The next thing you know, they get an award, and they want to do all these different things, and they really misleading the community. They know that that shit don't work, and it's the same racket from the old heads to the young ones. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants everything except for a good dog. I need me a good dog. I need me a dog that's gonna be a dog. I need good confirmation, health, and that's what I'm doing. But yeah, going to what Novocaine said, y'all be careful with these veterinarians because these veterinarians want to fix our. Yeah, I heard of SSK out of Georgia, but they want to fix these dogs so bad. So bad. Um, the vets will lie to you as they did to them. They lied to them, told them, "Oh, we need to fix your dog. This is what's wrong." Diagnosing shit like pyometra, saying the bitch's uterus ain't no good, and different things like that. Because it's almost like a mandate right now. No, no, you good, Thomas. But it's almost like a mandate that they try to get us out the way. They try to get us out the way big time. And you see some people where they go in there and the dog needs a C-section, and these veterinarians now are making people get the dog fixed, or they won't do the C-section, and it's fucked up because they're only doing it to our breed and dogs that look like our breed. They're not doing that. If you come in there with your poodle, they're gonna cut that poodle open, sew that poodle back up, have the puppies right, give them some prebiotics, probiotics, and all that shit. And it's sad. It's sad that they are doing this consistently. And I've heard so many people right now, so many people. And it just is what it is, man. We're still against it. We still fighting BSL, and now they're just doing it in other ways. It's the veterinarians that are on attack, and I've told y'all about this. And eventually, they're gonna get rid of the American bully, and when they get rid of the American bully, they're gonna get rid of the American bully because we cost too much money. Y'all remember what I tell you? The American bully is gonna go down because we cost too much money. The budgets of these cities, and y'all look into this. I don't just sit up here and talk about this. San Antonio has a $30 million budget for animal control. $30 million. San Antonio is not even that damn big of a city to be needing a $30 million budget just for animal control. And a lot of that has to do with people overbreeding and filling up their kennels, and they have to deal with these dogs one way or the other. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Man, I'm glad, Novocaine, that you reported they bitch asses. You know what I mean? It see, it's just and these veterinarians do that. So you had a string wrapped around an intestine. They tell you it's pyometra. Look, pyometra is so easy to tell what it is. The vet was full of shit. But like they say, they wanna do whatever they wanna do. You know what I'm saying? To get rid of these dogs. Oh, you down there by San Antonio? Yeah, San Antonio got it's God bless y'all because it's some shit coming down the pike in San Antonio just because of the number of dogs and what they have to deal with, and they're already complaining that it's taken away from the school budget and it's taken away from other things, but you can't ignore the fact that you have all of these animals to deal with. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know what I mean? Said the armadillos is in that budget. Yeah, man, it's sad, and we're seeing it around the country. I was working for a rescue for some years, man, and we would take 30, 40 dogs, and at least 75% of them would be bully, pit bull type of dogs from Houston all the way up to Colorado. So that none of this is new, you know what I mean? It's sad and it's pathetic that we've gotten to this point that people living out their pipe dreams of being rich through the American bully has just killed everything. And now the city's got to put up with it. And the worse this shit gets, it's going to be a price to be paid. I hate to keep telling people this, but it's going to be a price to be paid, and it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate because I just know that the BSL shit is coming back. I know a few people. They've been telling me some things. And as these new elections come up, it's going to get ran more and more. You already had the situation with Great Britain, England, banning the XLs, and it's going to escalate. And the sad part is that where's the ABKC? You know, if you notice, the problems have gotten worse and the registry has disappeared. We don't know who the president of the ABKC is no more. They said it's not Deanna. We don't have a true spokesman. Nothing is being said about the dogs. Nothing is being said about the concerns of the community. Nothing is just being said. People are just sitting and being quiet as the community goes downhill. And the crazy part is that the ABKC has made millions and millions of dollars to not only keep records, but to defend the American bully and all the breeds that is represented. And it's not happening. And on the flip side, they're promoting breeding, breeding, breeding. They don't deregister any dogs. Like, like the national champion. If you knew that dog had some kind of breathing issue, he should have been deregistered. Why would you want his semen to be used to make more dogs that can die and can't get through surgery? So as they promote breed, 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 because of course, if you breed more dogs, that means more people are turning in paperwork. That means more money for the registry. But at the same time, the dogs oftentimes get abandoned, taken to the pound and different things of that nature. And it's running up, issues with the city councils and everything else like that. And you won't hear the ABKC say anything about that shit. The ABKC is going to stay on the same path they've been on, and they're going to do the same things that they've been doing, which is basically trying to appeal to anyone and anybody that they think can give them enough fame that they can get by this next cycle. One of the reasons they have been super quiet here lately is because of the nationals champion dying. They don't want to answer those questions. They don't want to answer the questions of, were they wrong? Should this be handled a certain way? What's the issue with these dogs with these soft and elongated palates? They do the same thing that they've always done. If we're quiet long enough, people will forget about it, show up at the nationals in December. I'm just telling y'all. It's not I hate Dave and all that. No, I wish Dave the best. But at the end of the day, this is the truth. I challenge everybody, and I've done this a million times. Take your ass to your local animal cruelty shelter and tell me what you see. It's going to be nothing but American bullies. You're going to see a ton of them. You're going to see some exotics too. And the sad part about it all is that I still love the dogs who are not show dogs. These places have to kill them. Bark down there in Houston, they kill more dogs than probably anybody in the country. They kill. But and in a way, Houston's third biggest city in the country, and was it third or fourth? But Houston is so many people, man. So many dogs, man. So many dogs, and they just have to kill them. I don't blame them for having to do it, because they can't. So many come in, they just can't hold them all, and you don't have a lot of places for them, and it's just one of those situations that it's like you got to do what you got to do, and that shit's unfortunate, man. But this is what we're seeing in a lot of cities throughout the country. I mean, yeah, Ryan, we might talk about Dave on the next one, but Dave is the problem, Dave Wilson sold his soul, man. And we'll talk about all that. But how Dave got there is just sad, because Dave had a solid team of people who were about the dogs, who wanted to help him and different things of that nature. And Dave just turned around and sold his soul, man. He sold his soul, and when he sold his soul to Bashar, because first Cruz owned his soul. When he sold his soul to Bashar, man, that was it. Because Bashar paying off Dave's debts was the thing that opened the door for the extreme dogs. And y'all know, until recent years, they didn't call extremes. They were winning regular shows. The ABKC had went as far as to get rid of the extreme class. Then you had dogs like Mr. Beans, who won as a regular, standard, or pocket, or whatever the case may be. And that was because of Bashar, and Bashar's financial influence over the ABKC. When that shit happened, it just opened the door for all kind of problems to happen. It made it cool for you to have an unhealthy dog. It made it cool for you to have a dog that looked like an American bulldog. It made it cool if your dog pissed and shit in the ring. It's literally a video of Bashar coming and snatching the leash out of one of his trainer's hands because the dog was laying in the ring, just laid down. She didn't want to do nothing. Bashar went in there and grabbed the leash and made the bitch run. And guess what? ABKC gave her a first place ribbon. First place for a dog that laid on his side and played dead. Dave is the biggest problem, man. Dave didn't stand for nothing. Dave found a way to run everybody away from the ABKC so that he could do his thing. And in that process, man, he made a ton of bad decisions. A ton of bad decisions that it's one of the reasons why Dave is very, very invisible now, because he doesn't want to face people for what he did to the breed. Just being real. You don't see Dave on the forefront and talking about the breed needs to get better and all those things because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed that he double-crossed his friends who actually cared about the breed. He's embarrassed of all of the lies that he's told around the world, to where he was talking about he was going to clean up the breed. Y'all saw the post and different things where he talked about he's going to clean it up. He's going to clean it up. And now, like I said, I don't wish nothing bad on the dude, but he's created his own prison. He's a hated person, throughout the community. And the only show you will ever see Dave go out at is Nationals in Houston. And he's relegated to going to places to where he feel like he can be protected, which sucks. Dave is the only dude I know. Well, he ain't the only dude because George with Miyagi, he travels with bodyguards. But Dave is so bad off, as far as his connections with people. He literally will get a bodyguard, and to go places because he's scared that people gonna bust his damn head open. And that ain't no way to live. And I'm not bragging about it or putting him down about it, but that's what happens when you let down the community on the scale that he's let the community down, and done some of the things he's done and came and told some of the lies that he's told and different things like that, is that the whole community just turns on you. And and Ryan, I'm being real with y'all. When we started this American Bully shit, we was like rock stars. I'm gonna tell y'all about that on the next video. Like, man, we would go to cities, bro. You talking about like celebrities of the time, DJ Quick and Big Zebo Randall, and you name it, the Gloria Velez, Vita Guerrero, Buffy the Body, Paul Wall. We was mingling, you know what I mean? And not just mingling, us calling Miami Inc. and all that shit. We literally were like being their guests and invited these places, and they wanted to see the dogs. They wanted to be around. Sometimes they were our guests, but they wanted to be around there. We were in circles dealing with people and elevating this breed through their celebrity. Without a doubt, we love to be around the celebrity thing because they could elevate the breed by, talking about different things like that. Man, 50 Cent and them, all of them. But Dave ruined a lot of that because people believed in the dream. It was a different dream at that time. Bashar's dream was to get rich. You know what I'm saying? Our original dream was we gonna put the American Bully on the map and make some shit happen, man. The dream was like, little row poolside in Hollywood and shit, Yeah, Ryan, it was cool times because you think back then, man, it was nothing about the money. You know what I mean? It was everything about the dogs. People love that shit, man. We had the best times ever because people were just in love with the dogs, Not no more though. I'm gonna have to look up BRC winner Mac. I haven't seen him. I don't follow the BRC much. It's hard enough for me to follow the ABKC, but I gotta check him out. Matter of fact, excuse me. Well, this video is time to end, but yeah, I'm gonna have to check Mac out, do my research so I can get up on him. But it's I'm not, and I always say it's not that it's no bad dogs out there. It's just not enough. And the sad part is the good dogs aren't winning in shows. The good dogs aren't being promoted. and we're not promoting from the space that we need to be promoting from, which is healthy dogs, great conformation dogs, dogs that are going to represent the breed for generations and make our dogs better. If we make a product that's living 12 years, stable, beautiful, all of that, we push back to the forefront to where we can be on magazine covers and people are actually wanting to deal with our dogs. I never thought I would see a time when the American Bully would be throwing shows and you only getting 30 or 40 people there. I mean, we we could we could say we was gonna throw a barbecue on Monday and Saturday still have 3, 4, 500 people there back in the day, and this shit has turned into a shit show. But man, hey, I thank y'all. I'll be back next Monday for sure. I'm gonna try to see when I can get Danny on here. We might even get a video in this week. Uh, y'all just keep an eye out. I'm gonna be real active on this page. Y'all will see a lot of TBKC promotion and this and that and the other. And that's really my focus. Yeah, we'll have some breedings and shit coming up later on in the year, but it's mostly just me finally getting this TBKC shit done and seeing how it goes. You know what I mean? But oh, he was the number one dog in there. I might have to check him out, man. He said his name was Mac, right? Yeah, I might have to check him out, man. But hopefully some of y'all get back next Monday and we're gonna grow this thing and get it back to where how it used to be when we had a couple hundred people on here at a time. But as always, man, if y'all going through anything, keep praying. Don't give up on yourself. Take care of your mental and your physical health, and just remember, if you don't take care of you, ain't nobody else gonna take care of you. God bless y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.